Have you ever felt the shift? That subtle, painful moment when it feels like the power in the relationship has quietly slipped out of your hands, like the energy you once carried is now being ignored, dismissed, or taken for granted. You used to light up his world with just your presence. He used to lean in closer, hang on to your words, chase your attention like it was oxygen. But now, he moves slower, responds colder, and looks at you like the spark is fading. And you're left wondering, what changed? But queens, listen carefully, this is not the end. This is the moment you learn how to emotionally shift the power back in your favor. Power isn't taken, it's given, slowly, silently. And too often, it's handed away in the name of love. You gave and gave and gave until you started feeling like you were the only one doing the work. You tried to hold everything together, hoping he'd notice, hoping he'd step up, but he didn't. And that's not your fault. Because the truth is, emotional power doesn't live in control. It lives in how you respond when things start to fall apart. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." And in relationships, this becomes your secret weapon. Because the shift begins not when you raise your voice, but when you raise your standards. When you stop chasing connection and start creating distance. When you stop over-explaining and start protecting your peace. When you stop trying to be chosen and start choosing yourself. That's when he feels it. That's when the dynamic changes. Think of a candlelit room. The flame was yours. You lit it with your love, your time, your care. But over time, he got used to the light. He stopped appreciating the glow. So now, you blow it out, not with bitterness, but with silence. And suddenly, he's sitting in the dark, realizing what he lost. That's emotional power. That's how you shift it back, not by trying harder, but by pulling away with grace, with mystery, with quiet dignity. And this is where we speak to the woman you're becoming, the one who no longer waits to be loved right, the one who no longer bends herself to be seen, the one who remembers her worth before he does. Queens, your silence is not weakness, it's strategy. Your distance is not loss, it's leverage. You're not begging for power, you're taking it back without a word. If this message touched something deep inside you, if it reminded you of the power you still hold, even in your quietest moments, then take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We are working tirelessly to bring you content that speaks to your soul, helps you heal, and reminds you that you were never meant to settle. Queens, your story is still unfolding, and we're here to walk with you through every page. Number 1. He stopped trying when he felt too sure you'd never leave, so your silence must now speak the volume your words never could. Have you ever noticed how he stopped putting in the effort the moment he felt too confident you'd never leave? The moment he became too sure that no matter how distant he acted, you'd still be there. That no matter how cold his words became, your heart would still chase his warmth. That's when he stopped showing up. That's when he stopped appreciating. He didn't need to try, because deep down, he believed you'd stay no matter how empty the space between you grew. And that's exactly when the power started slipping from your hands. Slowly, quietly, invisibly. But now, it's time to take that power back. Not through yelling, not through pleading, but through silence. Through the strength of not explaining yourself anymore. Through the grace of your distance. The less you say, the more he feels. Because silence, when used with confidence, becomes the loudest language of self-respect. Your absence will teach him what your presence never could. That is the shift. That's the moment the energy changes. Because emotional power is never about control. It's about what you allow and what you remove. The moment you stop proving yourself, the moment you stop trying to fix what he keeps breaking, is the moment he realizes she's no longer mine to reach. Imagine this: you're a lighthouse, steady, glowing, guiding. But what happens when the ship keeps drifting, ignoring your light? You stop burning for him. You don't go out. You just stop showing the way. Let him drift. Let him feel the cold of not having your warmth anymore. That's how you shift the dynamic. You don't chase. You don't explain. You let your absence whisper truths his ego could never hear. And now, this is where your rise begins. Because the woman who once waited in confusion is gone. In her place stands a force. A woman who no longer asks why, but simply walks away with grace. And to every beautiful soul listening, you are not powerless. You are the storm he never prepared for. You are the peace he never valued until it was gone. Write this in the comments and claim it. My silence speaks louder than my pain. Queens, drop that in the comments and let him feel it without saying a word. And if this message reminded you of who you are, if it lit a fire in your heart, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're here creating powerful, life-changing lessons just for you, because this is not the end of your love story. It's the beginning of your reign. Number 2. He didn't lose interest. He lost the mystery. He didn't lose interest, Queen. He lost the mystery. He didn't drift away because you weren't enough. He drifted because he thought he figured you out. He stopped chasing because you gave too much too soon. You were the spark, the thrill, the deep sea he couldn't stop diving into, until he thought he had you mapped. And once he believed he knew every move you'd make, every thought you'd speak, he stopped trying. Not because you were less, but because you gave too much of your more without asking for more in return. See, a man doesn't lose interest in a woman who knows her value, but he does grow distant from the one who forgets how powerful her silence can be. The key to emotional power is not in how loudly you speak, it's in how carefully you pull back. You don't have to become cold, just less predictable. You don't have to become someone else, just someone he can no longer read like a worn-out page. Mystery is not about hiding, it's about protecting the parts of you that he should earn, not expect. There's a quote that says, "When everything is known, wonder disappears." And relationships lose their pull when there's nothing left to uncover. You kept showing up, over-explaining, over-texting, over-loving, and slowly the magic dulled. But here's the twist, Queen. You don't need to chase to shift the power. You simply need to reclaim your presence. Because when he stops feeling like he's still discovering you, you start reminding him of everything he took for granted. Think of a rose garden behind locked gates. At first he admired it, watered it, adored every bloom, but then he assumed it would always be open to him. So he stopped tending to it. Now, you close the gate. You let him feel what it's like to miss the scent, miss the beauty, miss the softness that once chose him. That's the mystery. That's how the energy begins to shift. Let this be your reminder. You are not here to be fully understood. You are here to be deeply respected. You don't need to explain why you're pulling back. Let your distance speak. Let your silence teach. Let your evolution confuse the version of him that expected you to stay small. So write this in the comments and claim it. He didn't lose interest, he lost access. Queens, say it loud. Say it like a vow. We are working hard to bring you life-changing lessons that remind you of your power, your grace, and your reign. Keep rising. You were never here to chase. You were born to be remembered. Number 3. He only sees your worth when you stop giving it away for free. He only sees your worth when you stop giving it away for free. Let that settle in for a moment, Queen, because the truth is, the love that's always available loses its power. When you're constantly showing up, always proving, endlessly giving, he starts to see your presence as permanent, not precious. He starts to expect, not appreciate. And that is the moment the emotional power shifts away from you. So, here's the question that cuts deep. Would he still act so distant if your energy didn't feel guaranteed? He won't say it out loud, but he's grown comfortable in the idea that no matter how little he gives, you'll keep showing up. He got used to your kindness like background noise. He started treating your heart like it came with no cost. But Queen, your love was never supposed to be free. It was sacred currency. Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." He kept taking because you kept offering. But the moment you stop feeding what he took for granted, he begins to starve for what he once had. The shift begins when you stop explaining, stop proving, and start protecting your peace. Picture this. You're a golden well, deep, rare, overflowing, and for too long he's dipped into it with dirty hands, not to treasure it, but to take from it without thinking. But the day you seal that well, the thirst begins. The realization hits. That was not just water. That was life. That was love. That was irreplaceable. He only feels your worth when the door to it is no longer wide open. This is the moment, dear lady, where you stop asking for respect and start expecting it without question. When your energy no longer feels free, it becomes valuable. And when he has to earn it, that's when everything shifts. Because the moment he feels your absence, the moment you stop giving like you're afraid to lose him, he starts wondering what he just lost. And this is when we say it clearly. You were never meant to be discounted, taken lightly, or put on hold. You are not an endless source of comfort. You are not an emotional vending machine. You are a crown he failed to carry. And now he can only watch it shine from a distance. Queens, write this in the comments and claim it. My love is valuable. It's no longer free. Let him learn the cost of what he misused. Because we're here working hard to bring you life-changing truths that help you rise, reclaim, and reign. Number 4. You're not losing him. You're letting him watch you become unforgettable from afar. He thought you'd crumble without him. He thought walking away meant you'd chase after him, beg for his attention, prove your worth, just to be seen again. But he was wrong. What he didn't expect was that silence would replace the effort, that distance would replace the devotion. And now, instead of losing him, you're doing something far more powerful. You're letting him watch you become unforgettable from afar. There is a moment in every woman's journey when she stops reaching and starts rising. Not because she stopped caring, but because she started remembering who she is. You gave your energy, your loyalty, your softness, and he mistook it for weakness. But now the energy has shifted. Now he sits with the absence of everything you used to give so freely. And that silence, that space, it's louder than anything you could have said. Think of a rose in full bloom. The world stops to admire it while it's present. But when it's gone, people search. They notice the emptiness, the missing beauty. That's you. You were the rarest energy in his life, and he'll only realize it when he tries to fill the space you once lit up so effortlessly. The woman who used to be always available, she's gone. And in her place stands something far more powerful: mystery, distance, peace. And he will feel that shift in his bones. Never waste your energy trying to explain who you are. Let your absence do the talking. That's the quiet revolution of emotional power. You don't have to prove anything anymore. He'll replay every moment. He'll miss the way your energy made him feel alive. And when he finally understands what he lost, it'll be from the sidelines, while you shine in spaces he no longer has access to. This isn't about revenge. This is about emotional authority. You stopped begging, you stopped waiting, and now you've become the one thing he can't forget: and can't reach. Queens, when you shift your energy back to yourself, you don't lose him. You show him that he was never the one holding the power. Here's your affirmation. He didn't lose me. I just became unreachable. Write this in the comments and claim your shift. If this message reminded you of your strength, like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're working hard to create life-changing lessons just for you, because you weren't made to fade away. You were born to reign. Number 5. He underestimated the storm that brews inside a woman who finally chooses herself. He thought you'd stay soft forever. He thought you'd keep holding on. He believed he could walk in and out of your life like your heart was a hallway made just for him. He saw your kindness as weakness, your patience as desperation, and your love as something he'd always have access to. But what he didn't see coming was the storm that builds inside a woman when she finally chooses herself over him. And by the time it breaks, it's too late to run for cover. The truth is, he never expected you to shift. He thought you'd stay waiting, hoping, reaching. But something changes the moment you stop begging for emotional crumbs and start reclaiming your power. It doesn't happen overnight. It brews slow and silent like thunder rolling in the distance. And the first time you choose peace over explanation, the first time you don't reply to his empty message, the first time you stop showing up just to be ignored, he'll feel it. Not like a scream, but like the air leaving the room. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That quote becomes real when you realize you don't have to control him. You only have to control your response to him. You don't need to prove you're worthy of his love. You were worthy the whole time. He just didn't see it. And now, he will feel it in your absence. That's how you emotionally shift the power back, by remembering you are the prize, not the pursuer. Imagine a volcano. It sits still for years, quiet, calm, gentle. People forget how powerful it is, until one day it erupts, and everything changes. That's what happens when a woman stops pouring her energy into the wrong man and starts pouring it into herself. She doesn't become cruel, she becomes undeniable. And queens, once that power wakes up inside you, there's no going back to the woman who used to wait. You're not here to chase. You're not here to compete. You are the storm that reminds him what he lost. You are the moment he never saw coming. And when he looks back, he won't find the woman he used to know. He'll find a queen, untouchable, unbothered, unforgettable. Affirm this now in the comments. He underestimated me, but I became the storm. Queens, let that truth sink deep into your heart. You owe no apology for rising. We are working hard to bring you life-changing truths, because your power was never lost. It was simply waiting to be reclaimed. Number 6. He's about to realize the attention he took for granted was actually the validation he lived off of. He thought your attention was a given. He got comfortable in the presence of your love, your words, your support, as if it would always be there, as if it existed just to keep him whole. He didn't see that every time you reached out, you were handing him emotional gold. Every compliment, every check-in, every thoughtful message. It wasn't just affection, it was validation. And now, he's about to feel what it's like when that validation disappears. You see, queens, there's something most men don't understand until it's too late. A woman's attention is not light, it's life. He wasn't just enjoying your presence, he was feeding off it. It made him feel important, it made him feel admired, and when he took it for granted, when he stopped giving back, he thought he still had the upper hand. But what he didn't know, you were watching, you were noticing the shift, and now you're pulling back, quietly, gracefully, powerfully. Seneca once said, "He who is not a good servant will not be a good master." And in relationships, this applies to energy. He wanted to lead, but he failed to serve. He wanted your loyalty without matching your effort. And now, as your energy fades from his world, so does his sense of control. The woman who made him feel wanted now feels distant, and he's left wondering why nothing feels right anymore. Picture a rose garden in full bloom. He walked through it daily, breathing in the scent, admiring the beauty. But he never watered it, never cared for it. He assumed it would always be there, waiting, until one day the petals were gone, and all he's left with now is empty air and the memory of what used to be. That's what your absence feels like. That's the weight of the validation he once lived off of. And now, Queen, this is your moment, not to chase, not to explain, but to reign, because your attention is not cheap, your energy is not endless, and your love, it's a privilege, not a promise. The power shifts the moment you stop feeding what doesn't feed you. So write this in the comments and claim it. He fed off my energy, but now I nourish myself. Let him feel the silence. Let your absence speak. Because the most powerful move you'll ever make is learning how to pull back with elegance, not anger. We're here creating real, life-changing lessons for queens like you, because your rise is not optional, it's destiny. Number 7. The tables turn when you stop reacting and start observing. He used to know exactly how to get a reaction out of you. A delayed reply, you'd panic. A dry message, you'd overthink. He'd pull back and you'd lean in harder, hoping to fix what he broke. That was the game. And as long as you kept reacting, he stayed in control. But something's changing now. The tables are turning. Not because you're louder, not because you're chasing harder, but because you've finally stopped reacting and started observing. The most powerful shift happens not in anger, not in confrontation, but in stillness. When you stop handing him your emotions on a silver plate, he's left guessing. That silence, that distance, it's not weakness, it's power. You're no longer feeding his ego, no longer dancing to his rhythm. You've stepped back to watch, to study, to decide. Because a woman who observes doesn't beg, she builds. She doesn't question her place. She reclaims her throne. Marcus Aurelius said, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." And Queen, that's exactly where your power is born, in your calm, in your ability to see everything and say nothing. He expects your usual response. He's counting on it. But instead, you go quiet. You go distant. And suddenly, he's left spinning in the space you used to fill. Picture a chess game. He made the first move thinking you'd react without thought, without strategy. But now, you're not playing checkers anymore. You're studying the board, calculating, choosing your next move like a queen, not a pawn. You're no longer reacting to his confusion. You're observing his patterns. And he feels that. He feels the pull, the power, the change. You gave too much, too fast, too freely. But now, you give nothing but mystery, nothing but poise. And while he stares at his phone, waiting for the same woman to show up, he realizes she's gone. In her place stands the version of you who watches instead of explains, who walks away instead of clings, who shifts the power not with words, but with quiet confidence. Your emotional power returns when you stop trying to be understood and start making yourself unavailable to confusion. You don't owe him access. You don't owe him answers. You owe yourself peace. Remember this, beautiful woman. The one who watches in silence is always in control. Affirm this in the comments, queens. My silence rewrites the story. Write it now and claim your shift. And if this message opened your eyes or reminded you of your true strength, like this video and subscribe. We are working hard to bring you lessons that help you stop chasing and start reigning, because this is more than healing. It's your comeback.